You know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it back there. Yeah, I got game, got in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it Turnpike Miles. Yeah, it's Google signing on, John to the Hancock, and I'm always key, I'm ready to unlock. I be doing big things, don't even.
Welcome back, everyone, to the newest edition of Once a Week. I'm Billy Gianlutis, and today we have a returning guest. Together, we put out an incredible video a few months back, diving into his story and the impact that he is bringing to schools in the education system through his speaking engagements. And today, we're bringing you a second installment to that. He is truly one of the most sought-after speakers around, bringing motivation and inspiration together to create a powerful change in the education system, whether it be for students, teachers, and parents alike. Everyone leaves his engagements with new knowledge, new perspective, and a new understanding for their personal breakthrough. And he's graced the stages of TEDx to now here on Once a Week, once again. Everyone, I give you J.B. Gross. Jay, welcome to the show. I'm grateful to have you back.
Man, honored, Bill. Can't believe you came back for more abuse.
Hey, I loved our last episode, and people loved it too. That's why I wanted to have you back. There's a great connection between you and I. There's a great common ground in wanting to help the school system, to help the kids, to help the teens, to help everyone grow, but at the same time, help the parents and teachers understand what's actually going on in these kids' heads. Because now more than ever, you can call it a hurdle, but it's a mountain, and it's just everyone trying to understand what's going on. But you have a hand in that. You've seen in the education system for yourself what's going on with these kids, but nowadays it's kind of times 10. So that being said, creating the backdrop for where we are, one, let's check in. How have you been? But two, let's dive into things. So what's going on with you for that matter?
Well, 36 years in the classroom, bud. This was my first fall of retirement, if that's what you want to call it. So it bothered me. I wasn't there. I felt something was missing. A little bit of my heart just wasn't there. Because that fall, when you meet the new students, and you get to that first semester, It's the best. You get those relationships established, find out what the kids like to do, work together. It's what novel you want to do. I got these 4 choices. Here's what they are. Let's see what we can do. Working together, not just here's the curriculum you will learn. You can regurgitate on the test. So don't even get me going. But it's going well. Last week was chaotic. I spoke in Escanaba, Michigan. I went down to Gaylord. The first one I opened up for the Commission on Aging. They were really down. They were really down, and they asked me to come because they're getting a lot of cuts. Governmental agencies getting cuts now with the shutdown. And then that went well. I was amazed at the amount of tears, the hugs, and the conversations afterwards were incredible. I went down to Gaylord, and I was closing keynote last year for them. And then I went to Lansing, and I went to Battle Creek to speak for them. And then they had me back as the opening keynote on teamwork. So it was like 2 days in a row, bam. Then I had a funeral for my friend's dad, 95 years old.
Wow.
I was master of ceremonies for the Humane Animal Treatment Society, called HATS, and their charity auction that they had going on. And it's just been, after I get done with you, I have nothing on the books till Thanksgiving. So
awesome.
I'm hoping it settles down.
Right. No, hey, I like that though. But it's funny to say this is your first fall without the new students, but the go of a new school year didn't stop for you. You kind of had a lot of go already, it sounds.
Retirement's a lie. You'd have time. It's a lie. The kicker is now I pick and choose who I want to hang around, and I pick and choose what I want to do. I'm not, you have to do this. This is how it's got to go. And I hang around high quality people, and I do events that warm my heart.
Yeah. Right. That's That's what we want life to be, for that matter. That's awesome. Yeah. It's so with everything you just touched on, I like what you said where you're used to the school year starting. And if we're going to jump into the education system, we might as well start with this because it caught my eye. You had a different approach when you were teaching where you kind of really built the relationship with the kids. It wasn't just curriculum. When I was in school, whether it's grade school, middle school, high school, college, whatever, if I really look back, the teachers that wanted to build a relationship with their students were in the younger grades. And then as you began to get older into middle school, high school, college, at least in my own experience, it did become curriculum because everything's about goals and getting to college, and then in college getting a job. So yes, there were some teachers that wanted to have a relationship with the kids, but it was kind of few and far between. And then nowadays, at least when I talk to students, whether it is middle school, high school, college, whatever, you see that the struggle is that a lot of them are just going because they think it is just all study books, study books, study books. There is not much time to build a relationship with the teachers. What's your take on that? And are you seeing that same change in the education system? Sadly, I should say.
I know this is a family video. I'm going to call it, it's a crock of poo-poo.
You can say whatever you got to say on here, Jay.
PG or G-rated, but it's a crock of poo-poo because all I could think of when I was going through teacher school, Bill,
yep.
If I do this, my students,
yeah.
when I meet my students, if I were a student in my class, how would I feel? Everything started with a kid. And now as a parent, as I've gotten older, when I was still teaching, how would I want somebody to teach my kid? I'd want him to know him. I'd want him to not realize my kid is not your evaluation. His test scores do not reflect upon you. I'm not going to hold you accountable for that crap. Teach my kid how to survive. Teach my kid how to learn. Because I always felt like high school, I got to prepare him for life. And if I couldn't look at a lesson or something I was designing, because I'm notorious for doing all my stuff on my own, picking in pieces, and I called it Jayifying, and I made it my own. If I couldn't apply it to life, why am I teaching it? It made no sense to me. And everything started there. But I'll give you an example is over the years that drove me absolutely insane. We were directed to, when kids come in, take attendance, open up the handbook. If it was first hour, you read the first 6 pages. Second hour, 7 through 12. Third hour, 13 through 18. And I'm like, all right, got to do it. It's a directive. So you do it, you get it done, you do it quick. Then I got done. I got over to Morley Stanwood, and Kirk was in there. And he came into the first PD of the year, and he said to the teachers, put the curriculum, put the syllabus, put everything away. Take the first 4 days, because we got 2 half days and then 3 days. Get to know your kids and let them get to know you. Oh, my God. I said, wait a minute. Can you say that again? I hadn't heard that in a long time.
Right.
And when he looked at me, he goes, I had a feeling you might like that. But what was cool, Bill, because I was only teaching part-time. I was only teaching 3 hours. I'd walk around, and I'm watching teachers up. They're playing games with the kids. They're playing the telephone game. They're playing Jeopardy, get to know people. Everybody threw questions in. The interaction, the laughter. And I'm like, oh, my God, a kid comes back from summer break, and they're having fun with their teacher, getting to know him, getting to see him as a person, as opposed to, here are the rules. You must obey. I mean, give me a freaking break.
Right.
I get to that point. So my big thing was always, I used to have the kids fill out a 36 question survey, which anybody can have. Write down to your favorite movie, why, favorite candy, why. And I would always make sure if they had favorite candies, I would go buy those over the course of that semester. And I'd make sure somehow, some way I'd slip it to them when they did something right.
That's awesome.
So when we did that, so I don't know if I got off topic. I was trying to remember it.
That's spot on. It's to that point that they, sadly, in many education systems, schools across the country, probably the world, the relationship is kind of an afterthought. It's not really the focus point, which to you it was. And to the guy that said, like, hey, first 4 days, let's just focus on building something with the kids. That allows such a door to open. And I kind of want to segue into one topic that we planned on talking about now, and it's probably the heaviest of topics, but it lines up perfectly here, where you gave me an example before starting this recording that you read, and it's students needing to go, a teacher giving them a homework assignment to go home and talk to their parents. To your point right now, where you sat there and you tried to build a relationship with the kids, and they would look forward to school starting at the start of the year rather than, oh, summer's ending, oh my goodness. However, there's so many school systems now where teachers are under so much pressure, and they're under pressure, one from curriculum aspect, and they have to get it all in. And that, when I worked in the education system, Jay, I worked directly with kids one-on-one. I was the therapeutic mentor, and I would be the bridge from the school, the parent, and the kid would vent to me the most. And the amount of kids, regardless of age, that would come to me and tell me it didn't matter if they studied or whatever, I was just going to get passed through. And that was in Brockton, Massachusetts, which is a very populated area. Sadly, it's a tough area, we'll say. And these students were just getting passed on to the next grade because the teachers, one, didn't, I don't want to say they didn't care. They didn't have the time to give to every student. They were hounded so much for curriculum. And then the parents looked to these teachers to essentially parent the kid because the parents didn't want to put that effort in. And that to me is the point that we were touching on prior to recording, where you saw this, I guess, study or article, if you will, about how parents are not giving the time to the students, and the students are coming to school talking to everyone, not listening to teachers. And the teacher's like, why are you guys doing this? Well, we can't talk to anyone else. So the teacher challenged them to go talk to a parent or a grandmother or grandparent, whatever it is. And the results they got back was so heart-wrenching because the teacher or the parents said to the students or son or daughter, no, I don't have time for you. Shut up. I don't want to deal with this. Just go do something else. And it just shows you a window into what students are going through, which in my eyes creates the backlash to why students don't want to listen and why it's tougher on teachers.
I agree. I
right?
agree. No, Bill, like we talked about, I've always said everything's a triangle in the educational world. Put the kid at the top of the triangle, make all sides even.
Yeah.
The school's down here, the home life, the parents are down here. Every side's got to remain equal. If it shifts too much to the teacher, nobody can bear that weight on their own. It drives you nuts. And with that article, it was by Shauna Gent, Gent, and it was shared by one of my friends on Facebook. And I started looking at it. The kids were chatty. Finally, the teacher, she asked them to quiet down multiple times. She does one of these deals. Mm-hmm. She says, okay, everybody, I need a favor. She sat down, put all the technology away. Let's talk. Why are you so chatty? And they got real quiet. As I read the article, a couple of the kids raised their hand and they all had the same answer. We don't have anybody to talk to at home. Right. The teacher was stunned. I'd never thought about that until I read that article. She said, what do you mean? And a couple more kids joined in, pretty much 20 kids in the class. They were all starting to share. They get home and parents are too busy. Everybody's going in a million directions. Nobody sits down to dinner anymore in the whole bit. So she says, here's what I need. She goes, I'm challenging you to start a conversation with an adult in your home, use open-ended questions, truly participate in meaningful conversation. The feedback from my challenge, when the woman said, it was heartbreaking. So get this. Only 2 kids were successful out of 20. Here's what the other ones brought back. Student number 1. My dad told me to tell you it's your job, Mrs. Gent. He doesn't want to hear my crap. Student 2. My grandma said she talked to me after her show went off, but she never quit watching TV all night. Student 3. My mom told me shut up. She was too tired. Student 4. No one was at my house all night, so I didn't have anybody to talk to. Come on. Right. Number 5. Everybody was busy doing other things and told me they didn't have time. See the trend? And you know who's the worst offender of this, Bill? Right here. Since retirement, I'm home alone, especially last year when my wife was still taking the kids to school, all 3 of them. When my wife would come in, I'm chatty Cathy. I hadn't been around anybody all day unless I went out to lunch with somebody. Yeah. She's been bombarded by every one of her students, and she teaches band. Yeah. Can you imagine the input? And then her own kids, and then her own kids on the ride home. She comes in, she gets greeted by all the dogs. We've got 6 rescue dogs. And then I come upstairs. So her and I do this thing called detox. Okay. I try to give her about 20 minutes to just come in and do what she wants to do. She does her own thing. She'll sit down in the chair, and usually the cue is she'll say, how'd your day go? Well, I'm going to tell her a couple of things. How'd yours go? And then we'll talk. But it's like that input. Imagine being somebody who you come home with nothing. Yeah. Or you're shunned. And now you wonder why we have problems. And that's what bothers me, because a kid's acting up in school. It's so easy for the home life to blame the school. Right. Well, you need to do this. You need to do that. Well, here's kids that are trying to communicate with parents who are blowing them off, basically, or absent. Yeah. I mean, how hard is it to just, my favorite thing, I do that. My boys put their phones down. Now it's here. I want it here. And I used to do the same thing in my classroom. My deal was always, when I take attendance, as I walk up to the front of the room or wherever I'm going to go, have your phone turned over on silent or off. You'll get a chance later, but right now I want you here. Let's talk. And then after about 20, 25 minutes, and remember, I taught juniors and seniors mostly. This is not an elementary teacher you're talking to. Yeah. And then we'd get going. And it was amazing. A lot of times what would happen, I'd get a kid. Kids at my desk. I'm walking around, couldn't get busy. All of a sudden I'd go back. Here's a text at my phone. Hey, Mr. G, can we talk after class? Wow. Sure. Catch me. I'll make sure I make time for you. So instead of taking off, running through the thing, I'd just sit there and the student would come over and we'd have a great chat. So there's positives and negatives, but my biggest fear is kids are lonely. Yeah. Kids are lonely. And sometimes schools, the only sanity that they have and safety, where they know somebody cares. And
Right.
the problem is right now, you talked about there earlier, we got short-staffed because of money and oversized classrooms. How
Yep.
does this? I talked to a teacher the other day. He's got 44 kids in their freshman English class.
Yep. Right.
44 in freshman English.
Crazy. Yeah.
I taught before I left Shepherd back years ago. I had 43, but I had seniors. I had no discipline problems. I had great kids. But I was trying to build, actually stepping over kids because I had couches, I had lazy boys, I had tables, I had chairs, I had desks, and I would try to step over them because it was so crowded. But it's like the relationships are what kept me able to handle a 43 kids in the classroom.
Yeah. Right. And also the relationship, I completely agree with that, the relationship aspect. But even in your own personal example, you built respect. You showed them respect, and demanding is the right word. You earned their respect because you were down to their level. Not many teachers nowadays, because of the high stress environments most schools have become, because of curriculum, because of parents hounding the teachers, them trying to build that respect level with students, to me, has kind of diminished in a way, because there's so much stress in every area. But you started with that. You said, hey guys, put your phones down for at least the next 5 minutes for attendance, or the next 25 minutes we can start this. And in that one aspect, they respect you enough because you showed them respect to begin with. I feel like that is kind of an afterthought nowadays, because there's an expectation level of kids going to school where hey, you're going to school, you got to listen to the teacher. However, that in itself has become lesser and lesser because of, you could say parenting, you could say so many other areas, but kids feel that they have the power. And if they don't, they're going to go to mommy and daddy, who can then yell at the teacher. And that's been where I used to step into the field, where I would be told, hey, so-and-so, for whatever client I had, for a young person I had, go into the schools, have these meetings with these teachers and principals or whatever. And I would just be the middleman and be like, well, I look at the kid. If he was messing up, I would be directly the one telling him messed up. But then again, that shouldn't be my role. That should be the parents' role. But the parents look to me to parent their kid. It's like, no, like, that's not right. Like, you guys had the kid for a reason. Step up to the plate, But
See, Bill, one of the things I always hated was my parents would tell me, because I'd ask them, why do I have to do this? Because I said so. There's educators like that. Because I'm the teacher, I said so. Wait a minute. If you can't justify why you're doing something, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
And that drives me nuts. Go back to the phones. I was never on my phone when I demanded my students not be on their phones.
Yeah.
Don't be hypocritical. And I know teachers, I've seen it. No phones in the classroom, but then they turn the kids loose, and what are they doing in the back of the class?
Yep.
That's not fair. That's not fair. And kids pick up on that.
For sure.
I did make a mistake. You're looking at the dumbest human being on the planet when he was 6 years. No, I was about 8. About 8 years old. And I still remember to this day.
Yeah.
My mom, she said something, and I turned and I go, why do I have to do that? Because I'm your mother. I said so. 8 years old. Can I see my birth certificate and get a blood test? That hand, remember, I was born in 64, so this is 1972. That hand came so fast and rocked my world. I mean, I'm doing one of these. She goes, got any more smart remarks?
Yeah, right.
Oh, as the tears, and I crumbled off and went and took care of what I needed to take care of.
Yeah.
No, I'm not for corporal punishment, but it definitely left a lasting impact.
For sure.
We did that. But I always like to give kids the reason. Like, if we're going to do Tuesdays with Maury in class, my number one thing was, you guys, one of the standard questions you'll hear in interviews and in life, who's somebody you looked up to outside of the family?
Yeah.
I can't say parents, can't say brothers and sisters, somebody outside the family. Here's Tuesdays with Maury, Mitch Albom with Maury. And the one kid went to his interview, and I remember the text, hey, crazy old man, you didn't think I was listening, but I was. And he tells me the story, because when he was asked the question, he started to smile. He goes, well, I had this crazy English teacher that told me I'd get this question, and I want to compare it to Tuesdays with Maury with Mitch and Maury. Mine was. And they were blown away. And one of the people on the interview committee, their favorite book was Tuesdays with Maury.
Wow.
Exactly what I set him up to do. And he got back. He got in his car, and as he was leaving, I'll be danged. Guess what? Yeah. They offered him the job.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. But it's like that mutual thing of respect and letting kids know. But kids are like just sponges that can absorb so much, and they're watching more than they're listening. They're watching what you do. And it goes back to when I was coaching football.
Yep.
I still remember, because it's one of my closest friends, and he said, some kid was like, this is bull crap, blah, 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 blah. You know, I was working them because back when I was coaching, my biggest thing was like military, break
Yeah.
them down and build them back up together. And my
Sure.
conditioning was out of this world. So my buddy, who's now one of my close friends, he grabbed the kid by the helmet. He grabbed him just like this. He goes, he's been up since 4:00 this morning. He was in the weight room at 5:00. Some of us were working out with him, and he worked out alongside of us. You want to complain? Walk right over there and complain to him. I never had to deal with it because I was in there lifting with the kids. I was doing the same things they were doing. I was living it. And I'm telling you, those relationships to this day,
Right.
I still talk and maintain contact with almost 80% of the people that would come in that morning.
That's awesome. See, and that's a beautiful thing about you. And you talked about it in our last video, so people can go check that out if they want to on YouTube. But there have been so many students or athletes that have reached out to you because that bond is still there. And I know just from your own example you've given me, where you've helped them with their weddings. You know, they've had such a bond with you where you stepped in, you married them for that matter. Like
5 weddings in 4 weeks, Bill. I just did 5 weddings in 4 weeks.
Did you?
I mean,
That's awesome.
The one was rehearsal Friday night, wedding 2:00 Saturday, rehearsal Saturday night at 6, wedding 2:00 Sunday.
Wow.
All for former students, and both were my former students. I cried at all of them pretty much.
That's awesome.
Because it's like you see these kids, and now they're all grown up, starting families. But Bill, when they I'm getting a little choked up.
Yeah.
When they want to share probably one of the greatest days of their life and have me be a part of it,
right?
I challenge you to find me an evaluation that even comes close.
Yeah.
You can do your Danielson model. You can do all that crap and check those boxes. I'm full heart. I don't care what those other evaluations say. That's the greatest evaluation. And imagine you're standing there one day and a mother comes up after school and tugs on your shirt, looks up at you with these beautiful eyes filled with tears and said, will you please speak at my son's funeral?
Wow.
Will you honor my boy? And I did the best I could to celebrate his life.
Right.
So I've done 4 funerals, and I'll take the weddings every single time. But if I can honor and help a family heal, I'll do that too. And that is all built on relationships, Bill.
For sure. Yeah. That's, and obviously that's such a tough aspect to be asked to go speak at a funeral for a student, but to know that you have such a significant role in the student's life, the family's life, the school's life for that matter, where every aspect of a student, a child, a kid, a teenager's life, you play a role in, whether it's the proudest moments of a wedding or the saddest moments of a funeral, they want Jay there. That's the light that you bring. And that's the power that you left with the family, the student, and everything. So you got to take an aspect for yourself, an aspect of love, self-love for yourself with that, because they know you're meant to be there. And I think that's phenomenal. And back to the relationship point, it's phenomenal that you built that with students and they wanted you there. To have teachers do that today, like I said earlier, I wish it was more of a forefront thought rather than an afterthought.
I can't emphasize and agree with you more. Mm-hmm. Bailey, when she told me Bailey got married to Cole, she said, when she asked me, she goes, I was sitting in your class when you told me you'd done a wedding, and I knew right there you were going to do my service. And I wrote it in my wedding planner book back when she was like 15, 16 years old. So it was something else you said, triggered a thought there. And I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what it was.
The relationship piece, being there at every stage of a student's life.
Yeah. It's a lot. But you made the comment too, bring that light. I like that quote.
Yeah.
I like that quote. I may have to steal that from you.
Oh, it's all yours. Because to me, regardless if we're talking about school, whatever, every single one of us brings a light to the table. And this goes for anyone listening, watching right now. You yourself bring a light to the table for everyone you're around, for your own, we'll say your own personal reality, whether that's going to work, the gym, family, whatever it is, son. And then you choose how much of that light you shine, whether you step into your confidence in one area or you take a step back and realize you can connect to people and you can really hone, like, this person needs me just to listen right now. That's your light shining into them where they can heal, where they can grow, where they can understand their own words more. But we're all a soul. We're all a spirit. We all bring a light to the table. And it's our choice based on our thoughts, our words, and our actions and what we do when we're around people. how much of our light we want to shine in this lifetime. I just think we're meant to shine. We're stars, Pretty sure, that to me is what we're meant to do, is shine bright.
Well, you got my wheels are just spinning now
Good.
because I was thinking light, light givers, and as well as I do, there are light extinguishers out there.
Oh yeah,
The
for
negative
sure.
people that immediately they're miserable, so they want you to be miserable too. You
Mm,
got to distance yourself from those types of people. The big thing right now, too, Bill, when we're talking about it, is I cannot believe the amount of parents I've talked to
yeah.
with kids, and I don't know if I like this term or not
Okay.
because I get it. The bullying comments. There's
Okay.
a difference between teasing, ribbing somebody, and actually bullying.
Yeah.
Bullying is meant to tear down. My buddies and I, we tease each other,
For
we
sure.
rip on each other. God, if we're on the golf course, there's no gloves on, it's gloves off.
Right.
And then we go have food, we go eat, we go drink, we laugh, we do what we got to do. When you're bullying and you're sticking those needles in about you need to go kill yourself, nobody likes you, you're fat, you're ugly, this kind of stuff. I mean, there's a deeper problem, and I keep trying to tell the kids, like even when I was teaching, I'll never forget the one girl I spoke at the Michigan School for the Deaf. I had 2 interpreters going. The one girl came up afterwards, and she had a cleft palate,
Okay.
and she was deaf. Can you imagine what this girl went through?
Right.
And she's probably about 12 years old. And one of the things she said to me through her interpreter was, how do I get people to stop bullying me and accept me for who I am?
Mm,
Oh, my God, Bill.
right.
I swallowed as hard as I could. And I said, Sunshine, I don't know how to explain this to you, but what I've told my students is a lot of times school is survival. High school is survival. Once you get past it, you're going to know how to deal with life. And not everybody's kind. Because out in that world, a lot of people are selfish. It's all about them, and it's all about what they want. You need to realize you can only control what you do. You can be the best possible person, and that will attract the right people to you. Don't
Right.
go looking for people. Guys that couldn't get girlfriends or wanted this girl to like them. My biggest quote was, just be you.
Yeah.
I still remember a kid came up to me the one time, and he says, man, I got to get a new car. Why? Oh, I want to date so-and-so, and she really likes nice cars. I burst out laughing. Are you freaking kidding me?
Right.
Dude. So in other words, she loves the car, not you.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Start getting this Cheshire grin on his face. But it's like sometimes, the biggest thing I think we forget sometimes, and I was extremely conscious about this, it's so much more than curriculum to be an educator. Right from the bus driver to the cafeteria worker to the parapro to the admin to the board members, these kids are trying to find a way to survive and be themselves out there in life, and everything should gear towards that. If you can gear a math assignment towards that, if you want to,
It's true.
if we can get more kids more positive, you know what? Maybe we'll have less suicides.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And that honestly was going to be the next topic I bring up, because it lines. You and I discussed that prior to us hopping on, but it needed to be a topic here, and to step into that. But you're 100% right. And for teachers listening right now, as you said, the curriculum should be an afterthought as much as it's going to be hounded on you. But I always sit there and think of, why does someone get into teaching? Because they want to leave an impact. They want to play a role in, regardless of what age, preschool, elementary, all the way up to senior year, college, whatever it is. You got into it because you wanted to leave a lasting impact on a student's life. That's you shining your light, to what we said earlier. But to this point now, for people listening, to what Jay said, where you got to have, whether it's bullying and people that come to distinguish or extinguish your light, I should say, to put it out, regardless of what it is, if you let those thoughts into your head and you start to tear yourself down, now you're saying it to yourself because you heard it somewhere else, whether it's a bully said it, a parent said it, or someone, you're now believing that about yourself. So now the wheels are turning in a negative way, which leads to Jay's point we're about to step into, of how suicide is becoming so rapid. It's becoming a very high thing, right?
That's unbelievable. But in 36 years of teaching, I have now had 39 students pass away, and I believe the number is 14 of suicides. And I just recently had a mother reach out to me, trying to keep this very anonymous.
Yep, for sure.
They have a child who's about 8 years old.
Okay.
And came home and says, Mom, my heart hurts. I don't want to live anymore.
Mm.
And they're looking to get help, and they knew what we went through with my oldest son, and I gave him some suggestions.
Good.
We've been talking back and forth, and one thing she asked me, she says, if I need you to talk to him, I said, I cut her right off, and I said, you tell me time, place, I'll be there.
Yeah, for sure.
I said, I'll be there, because I went through one of the darkest periods of my life way back 20 29 years ago. You know, I sat with a gun, I sat with a bullet, I sat with a bottle of Captain Morgan.
Mhm.
I had had a lot of little things, and I had a very catastrophic thing happen. And I don't believe, Bill, anybody wants to die.
Right.
Because
Yep.
if I sat there with the gun, I was having trouble breathing. My heart hurt beyond imagination. I never thought I could hurt this much. I
Yeah.
couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I was losing weight. I couldn't get away from it. And all I did is I sat there that night. I was actually calling my brother to say goodbye.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
And in 5 minutes, that kid knew. He says, I'm on my way. I'll be there. Give
All right.
me 50 minutes. I'll be there. And he came in. I buzzed him in. He came in the bedroom. He sat down. He never knew about the gun.
Mhm.
But he took the fifth, he took a drink, he goes, walk me through it. So we walked through it, we talked for probably half hour, 40 minutes. And he leaned over and he put his arm around me. And the goofball, he's my younger brother by 5
Yeah.
years. Bill, he goes, get a dog.
Mm.
And it was like suddenly somebody took a boulder off my chest because I wouldn't get a dog. I'd grown up with dogs since I was 3-4 years old. My parents always had rescue animals. I just went, oh my God. And I looked at him and I said, I will. And he gave me a hug.
Yep.
But because I reached out and I talked to somebody,
Yep.
they trusted me. They listened. They didn't tell me, and just cut me off. He listened the entire time. And then out of the blue, he knew how much I love dogs and I've been putting it off. That's how I got Titania, who saved my life.
It's awesome.
Who saved my life. And I actually told that story at the charity banquet for hats. And I don't think there's many dry eyes. A lot of people were crying when I told them that. But like I tried to say, when you donate to rescues and shelters, sometimes it's not just the animals you save. You can save somebody like me. Now, let's take a kid that's an 8th grader or an 8-year-old kid. Are they smart enough to know those resources or to go to somebody to find out? That's where I think in today's world, we've got to find a way to connect that it's okay to not be okay. And my friend Terry Hesbrook with the B4 Foundation, I wear the bracelet right here. His son Brady wore number 4, took his own life. And Terry and his wife Christy, they built that foundation to let people know it's okay to not be okay. Reach out, talk to somebody. And man, I am their biggest, I don't know if I'm their biggest supporter, but they got 100% of everything I want because I believe in what they said. And kids today, because I hear the accountability, I hear they have no accountability. They have this, well, like I said, they go home. Where's the accountability? They're lonely. So and the kids that don't know how to direct that energy, they're going to act out in negative ways. And, I know when kids came into school, most of the time they're having problems and they're just going off or they make a 180. 99% of the time, it's got nothing to do with me. So that was my question. You okay?
Yep, exactly.
Anything I can do to help? Did I say something to offend you? I don't take the defensive. I take like an emotional offensive to let me know. Deaf in my right ear, but this left ear listens really well. And it stays with me. Yeah. So I don't know. I got kind of off on a tangent. But
no, that's not a tangent at all. That's spot on to everything. And I will add my own story to that because you told your story where you battled something. So when I came out the gate in high school, I gave my first speaking gig in high school too. And that's where it all started. And that's like the driving, the inspiration. I was like, I'm going to do this. People are telling, hey, you have go follow this. So I go to college and, when you're a freshman in college coming out the gate, telling everyone you're going to be the greatest motivational speaker ever, everyone listening, they look at you like you got 30 heads. I was like, what the heck is that? Because you're a freshman in college, but I got big dreams. I'm following, I'm making it happen. And so with my story with this is going to be to get deeper. And I'm going to, as you did, I'm going to keep it anonymous just as much. I'm saying that my freshman year and full speed ahead, making friends, whole show, but always determined, always, I would, wasn't much of a party. I would stay in and I would write speeches that I wanted to speak to someday. That's what I did in my dorm. And I can remember it was summer after freshman year and I had a friend group and everything and found out from one of my close friends that I roomed with that some of the people in our friend group would tell him, Bill will never do it. Why does he even, there's no point in him. He's going to fail at this. Maybe we should try to do something. I was like, a lot of negative derogatory things. So for people listening right now, when you put it out there that you're going to do something, I feel the world wants to test you and it's going to question, do you really want this? Because you're going to get hit right at the beginning. And if you say yes and keep going, you then will knock the walls down. So when I heard that one of my close friends was really bad mouthing me and telling them, the other people, that I was not going to do it. right?
Light
So
exposure.
I had that in my thought, right? I was like, and I took it, and my buddy told me this, and I swallowed it. I will tell everyone God spoke to me right there. And it said, you will help that person when he wants to end things. And I go, and at this time going to my sophomore year of college. I go, okay. And my buddy who told me this is, are you going to do something? I go, no, let him have his own thoughts. I'll prove him wrong. And I just left it there. Went into still friends with this person. Still, I always had it in the back of my mind. I was like, but I'm not going to hold it against this person. Why? Because people say things because they're going through something themselves and they don't realize it. So they have to take it out on other people. And that's where bullying starts.
Displaced anger.
Right? Exactly. So fast forward now, years later, I already graduated college. I'm speaking, I'm traveling. The dream is coming alive. People are coming up to me like, yeah, you were always that one person in high school who said they were going to do this, but you actually stuck to your goal. And, and that's great. I'm great to hear that. So this person that told my friends that I would never do it, reached out to all of us, and he was traveling back home, and I knew because I was in touch with him that he was in a very dark place, very sad place, very depressed place, everything like that. And for him to come home, to me, it's a celebration. Oh my goodness, what's going on? Nice, good to see you and everything. I forgot about all this stuff in the past, and he stayed with me for a couple days, and we had a very deep heart to heart one day. He didn't tell me that he was going to end things, but the signs were there, and I had a heart to heart, and it was soul to soul speaking, light, shining light, like I said earlier. And this kid's bawling his eyes out right on my couch, and then like venting everything he's been through. But I'm speaking from that higher place now of pulling him out of that negativity up to see himself for who he truly is and what he brings to the table, how he can make people laugh, how he truly has a light that he brings to the table and shines in other people's lives, but he doesn't see it because he's covering it with all the negativity and painful experiences he's been through. And he's bawling his eyes out, he's really seeing it. And, he stayed a couple of days, ended up going home and whatnot, flew back home. And he will continue to this day reach out to me. He goes, man, like, he'll call me. I don't know if you realize how low I was. I don't need him to tell me that he was going to make any actions. I knew why, because God told me back freshman year that I was going to help this person when he wanted to, make a certain decision. Has he ever said it to me? No, but you can read the signs on the wall. But at the same time, to your point, to your brother's point, to people listening right now, it comes back to that where we all get negative on ourselves and we can all beat ourselves up and we can all follow. Sadly, I hate to say it, it's become a path of the world to hate ourselves, to really pour on the negativity. Why? Because external factors are pouring onto us, telling us that we aren't worthy enough, that we don't deserve this, that we aren't good enough for this. And if you start to tell yourself that, you're just going to fall into a pit of darkness. But
throw this out there, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but my
take
old
take it and run with it. Yeah.
I'll forget. Gina Irene Asciutto, my good friend's daughter, American Idol 2014, she took second. When she got to Detroit, got a Detroit recording, she recorded the song Unbreakable.
Okay.
The first line, Bill, I am my own worst enemy. Second line, I look in the mirror and I don't see anything. And she talks about the struggles, and now the song, I am unbreakable. She got through everything and became unbreakable because she found herself and the strength within. But dude, we are our own worst enemy. You to that dude were my brother, and you were the dog. It's that simple. You were titanium. You gave him titanium to believe in something. Sometimes it's just what people need. The problem to me is they're starting younger with these dark thoughts.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
I do blame social media. I do blame kids online. I blame the bullying and stuff at school where they're actually trying to tear people down. I'm sorry. If you and I are out golfing, Bill, and you shank a drive, I'm going to look right at you and say, yeah, I remember the first time with my new driver, bonehead. But that's not a bullying. That's just good humor as it comes back. I expect you to give it back to me.
100%.
So I don't know. I wish there was a way to make every kid just realize how special they are, because the permanency of suicide, it's eternal. Once you get one blink of an eye on the scale of time of life to live, and you take it away, and I know it's because of the pain. Nobody wants to die. They just can't figure out how to get through the pain, but they keep getting younger and younger. And that's worrying me.
Yeah, right. I completely agree with you. And to your point, yes, social media is a major factor where kids now, and we all do it. Heck, you and I do it when we post on it. We are up for the world to choose and comment if they choose to. And that again comes back to when you step out for yourself for the first time, there will be hurdles. And to step through that, there will be, when I started doing the YouTube show years ago, almost 9 years ago at this point to a T, um, I can remember one time, it's a funny example. I posted a video, thought it was great. Someone commented on this thing, so much negativity tearing me down. And I sat there, and you go through the phases. You type it up, you delete it because you know it's not the right thing, but you type it up again, you delete it. And I went to my dad. I go, Dad, like, rate this kid said this. So what do I do? And he looks, my dad pauses, reads it, and he goes, looks at me and goes, I was a therapeutic mentor at the time. He's like, you work with the population. That's obviously a young kid going through something. He's hurting, so he's going to take it on you. He looks at me and goes, Bill, respond to him, but respond from the way that you know you will. And then I grabbed the phone. I go, yeah, you're right. So I went back. I probably sat with it for another half hour. Like, what should I say? Typed up this thing like, hey, one, I appreciate you watching the video. Two, I get it. You're going through something terrible, and I want to help you through it. You can take me down. You can say what you need to say, but it's not going to change the fact that I'm right there for you. And I said some other point with it. Within 3 minutes, the kid took down the comment, deleted it all, never, maybe just left, blocked, whatever. But to my dad's point of like, hey, you can fight back from a higher place and all the negativity will wash away and then you beat it. And to my point of this, for people listening, when you step out for yourself and you face that first hurdle of people and comments and whatever, if you can get through it and not let it get to you, it fades away. Because from that point onward, the negative comments have become lesser and lesser to the point now where they're not really popping up. Why? Yes, people are nice people have their way, whatever it is. However, I feel from a deeper point, because I stood strong in that face of, reality, whatever, it like, I call that spiritual. You faced it and then it faded away. It's like, I don't know. That's just my own perspective on it. But
you were smart enough to reach out for help, though.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's what we got to find a way, Bill, to get the kids to do. I went to my brother. You went to your dad. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got somebody. Yep. God, it breaks my heart to say that somebody doesn't have somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you realize, Bill, I found out, because it's like you helped me change my perspective a little bit. There's some slime out there that I blocked that it got back to me. When I post a video or I post something, they'll screenshot it and they'll share it amongst their crew.
Okay.
And slam and bash me. And I laugh my butt off, keeping it PG-13.
Yeah.
I laugh my butt off because I'm thinking, how pathetic do you have to be to just sit there? And these trolls that do this, I feel so sad for them. Get a life.
Yep.
Because you talked earlier, I don't tell anybody ever what I'm going to do. Like I could have gone into the past 10 days or the past couple of weeks, 5 weeks. I did all these weddings and everything we were talking about, and told everybody everything I had to do. But then what if I didn't do 2 or 3 of them? Yeah. I just let stuff build up. And it's like, I set a goal many years ago, 10 years ago, with speaking. I wanted a TED Talk, TEDx talk, and I wanted one keynote for a special conference that's dear to my heart here in Michigan. I haven't done that one yet. I told nobody. But I got the TEDx talk, and I wrote in there, 10 years in the making, cannot believe I was asked. Here's the results. Would love to know what you thought, or something like that when I posted it. Awesome. And what it was a little bit more to the post on that. But then somebody wrote back to me and said, thank you so much for posting this and teaching kids. It's okay to work towards something. It's not instant gratification. Yeah. Swipe the credit card, get it right now. Right. Good things take time. And the kicker is, I used to talk to my speech class about this. The only thing I really remember from a geometry class, the angle something goes in on is equal to the angle it comes out on. And I was so bad, Bill, my teacher took me to the bar. We had a few beers, and dogs are back in the house, sorry. We went to play pool, and he taught me geometry playing pool, and it stuck. Yeah. And it was so cool because I got to know him, and I always remembered that. But one of the really neat things was with relationships. A lot of times girls think it's about their looks, their body, if they're going to be intimate with a guy. And I said, well, let's just do this. Let's use that concept. If you sleep with somebody on the first night, that angle is going to come right back down. True. But if you get to know somebody, get to find out their likes, their dislikes, go out for a while, fall in love, the chances of that deteriorating, it's going to take a long time and probably old age, and you pass away together. When I look at this, but kids in that instant gratification, if your heart's hurt, it's not an overnight fix. Yeah. I mean, I still go back to that night and I get that overwhelming feeling, but it's like, I people have asked me before, you're such a strong person. You got all this stuff going on. And I call it the Robin Williams syndrome. Sometimes the toughest people are the ones that are hurting the most because they put on this front. I've had things happen to me where I've had to go on in front of an audience, and I've walked off stage when I was done. I broke down just in tears.
Yeah,
I faked it. I pumped things. This is what they hired me to do. I'm giving it everything I got. And then afterwards, I'll never forget, the one woman came over to me, and she says, "What's wrong?" And I just looked at her because I said, "I just need about 30 seconds." She started to hug me.
Yeah.
And I just said, "My grandma passed away."
That's right.
And it was 2 days ago. And she goes, "Oh my God, I didn't know. I didn't want her to know. I didn't want to make excuses. This is what I love to do." And by the way, my grandma would have been extremely upset with me if I'd have canceled or if I'd have walked out in front of people and said, "Bear with me today. My grandma passed away." I put that in the closet and I hid that dang thing.
I get that.
That's what I think kids need to learn too sometimes. Step up, stop making excuses.
Sure.
If you're depressed, I'm going to give you the simplest thing in the world. And this goes for adults too.
Mm-hmm.
Put the tech away and get outside.
True.
Go for a walk. Get a dog. Go to the shelter and just foster a dog for that time. Walk a dog. Get outside. Get that tech away from you, that dopamine. Find your dopamine with working out. Find your dopamine in a conversation with somebody. Look, go back. I have gone back over this past year and rekindled friendships. I had one buddy I didn't talk to for 30 years, and I reached out. We met for 4 hours and laughed like crazy. We text message now, the whole bit. There's so many ways better to get dopamine than this life-sucking apparatus.
Right.
Don't get me on my pedestal now. I'll be on here all night.
No, I get it though, but no, you're spot on to that. And for people to get outside comes back to the initial point we started on, to break the thought patterns, whether someone poured those thought patterns into you or sadly you might create them yourself. Yes, I understand, to everyone listening right now, negative thoughts, they have a certain power to them, without a doubt. They could weigh you down like no other, but positive thoughts, to me, elevate you so much more than any negative thought could weigh you down. And it's just a matter of shifting that. Yep.
I'm doing it again. Old man brain. Just reach through and give me a virtual slap when I do that, bro.
What was it? Your mom that smacked you across the face? Is that what it was?
I get 8-year-old flashbacks, you know. Hey, I wish she was still alive to give me a smack. I do, but I miss her terrible. But it was when you talk about positive thought patterns, 7th grade, I had a teacher that a lot of people feared. And long story short, I spoke on a Sunday for father-son banquet. Teacher stopped me in the hallway, looked at me, and he said, "Why did you come out from behind the podium and talk to the audience and you didn't read your speech? Everybody else did." And I said, "Mr. Resler, I hate when people read to me because my mom reads to me at bedtime and I go to sleep. And reading to me, I need to be reading it myself. But I wanted to just tell everybody how proud I was of my dad for being drafted and playing professional football."
Yeah.
So the second thing with that, because my wife just started the vacuum cleaner and I was totally distracted. So you can cut that out if you want. But the second thing was, I go to college and I'm in a speech class. And at the end of the very last speech, she turned us loose with what we wanted to do. And I wrote a poem and I included everybody in it. And it was on Lee Bowden. And I'll never forget, she hugged me afterwards. She goes, "That's the most beautiful speech I've ever heard." So then I get into speaking because I'm sitting at a conference with my good friend Bruce Vino and Kevin, I can't remember. I don't think it was Kevin Honeycutt. Somebody was on the stage, and midway through the keynote, he elbows me and he goes, whispers in my ear, he goes, "You can do that and you'd be better." That's all he said. And I was like, Bill, it was like a warm flush of just, oh my God, my mentor, my colleague that I look up to, that's been just absolute everything. He thinks I can do that. That seed was planted. But with the little things that started to go. So that's what's helped me believe in myself. And now I've gotten to the point at 61 years old, when people come to hire me, here's what I offer. This is what I do. This is what I believe my audiences will feel when we're done. And it's worked pretty effectively. I'm really enjoying now having retirement, being able to go wherever I need to, whenever I want.
Right. Oh, I love it. No, I love it, Jay. And, to your point, and we'll make this the last point for this episode today.
Jamming again.
I love it. I love it. That's why I love having you on. The energy just sparks and we just roll with it. But to a final point that we kind of already touched on it, but I want to emphasize to people before we close the whole thing out: accountability. And you mentioned accountability in terms earlier when you mentioned some football aspects with your athletes, but to this point, I think it's more emphasized now to end the whole thing with, because with us talking about positive thinking, a lot of people, and we'll say kids, but people, anyone listening of any age right now, when it comes to accountability of your thoughts, you are the only one that can be accountable for that. And if someone comes to try and bully you or upset you or put you down, it's your choice if that will run through your mind longer than it has to. So you have to hold yourself accountable to what runs through the reel of your mind, we'll say. And to hold yourself accountable to think positively flushes out the negativity. So if we want to connect the points, the suicidal thoughts fade away. You no longer see yourself as lesser because you realize that you're worth so much more. And to that point, Jay, what's your take on accountability that we can kind of close this whole thing on for that matter?
I believe accountability starts at home.
Yep.
Hear me out. I want to say I was about 6 years old. I'd gone over to the next door neighbor's house in our subdivision. It was the Jeffries. I was playing with Mike because he had a younger brother, Greg, who played with my brother, Mike. And I went over there and I was playing around with Mike. And they had, do you remember the jewelry boxes when you lifted them, there was a ballerina and music playing that turned around? Mm-hmm. I remember stealing that.
Okay, yeah.
In my pocket, took it home. So my mom comes in to put me to bed and I'm twirling it. She goes, "What do you got there?" And I was like, "Nothing." "Open your hand." "Where'd you get that?" I took it from the Jeffries. Out of bed, in my pajamas, marched me right next door, knocked on the door. Yulita Jeffrey answers the door. My wife goes, "My son has something to tell you." And I crying, I go, "Mrs. Jeffrey, I stole this out of a jewelry box and I took it, blah, 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 you know, the whole bit." She gives me a big hug. She goes, "Thank you so much." Yeah. That lesson, I hate a thief. I hate liars. My mom grew up, the two things she hated, it started with her. I hate liars and I hate thieves. And I'm the same way. But my point was, with a lot of kids that would come to me with problems, and actually people too, I said, "Why don't you just go talk to the person? Because guilt will eat you alive inside." I said, "Get it off your chest. Own it. If you make a mistake, own it." Because, my favorite one, I used to talk to new teachers. You can't fool kids. Good luck. They'll see right through a fake teacher. You know, if you're only there because you think it's summer's off with all these holidays, trust me, you're done. You're going to make it 3 years if you're lucky. But with me, accountability is just, you got to own it. And with me as a teacher, my rules were pretty clear cut. I didn't take late work. Now, it wasn't because I assigned it on Monday and I had it due on Wednesday and maybe you had a football game. I opened the syllabus up at the very second week of school, first Monday, went through the whole syllabus because we got 12 weeks. Here's your final research project. Here's your portfolio. We're working towards it. So then if they were late, I started laughing. I go, "How would that interview work out if you walked in late? You going to get the job?" I talk about preparation, building up to crescendo at that point. But it was so funny because, so wait a minute, I gave you 12 weeks to work on this assignment. You need one more day because you procrastinated or you're watching YouTube. And I had a parent reading me. "Well, why did you take the phone away?" Not my job.
Yeah.
Not my job. Because what I did, the kid was awesome. When I walked up to the front of the class, they were never on their phone. But when I turned them loose to work, guess what they did? Netflix, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat. I'm not a babysitter. I'm a teacher, and I'm trying to teach them a life lesson. Because you pull that crap down the road. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, you're good.
King Odin's back. But we get to that point with accountability. I want to be held accountable. I've got a few people, like I'll tell my wife what I'm going to do, and I got another person, I can't give that one away, but I'll tell them, hold me accountable because we're going to do this. Yeah. And they'll check in with a text. You know, one of my publishers, great, Darren Papard's awesome about checking in. He's got a little thing he sends me about writing my book. So I'm trying to write a book on my teaching career to help other teachers realize it's the greatest profession in the world, no matter how hard it gets. I babbled too long, bud. I'm sorry.
No, honestly, Jay, that's spot on for the accountability piece, but also gives people the real world examples. And that's, at the end of the day, what we want people to grasp. How can they take this and apply it into real life? So I appreciate those examples and everything. And for people listening right now, as we start to close this whole thing out, we went over a lot of different topics that touch on, yes, students, maybe even your kids at home, if you have them, but it's what's going on in the real world. And it might be going on for you listening right now, you viewing this right now, with how you're feeling. But to all the points that we touched on, whether it is accountability or accountability with your thoughts, your actions in the real world, or maybe it's, dealing with those people that are trying to extinguish your light, you bring so much more to the table. But you got to look at that and you got to start to apply yourself so it can happen. As Jay has touched on, the impact he received from students he was with across now to the point of across the country. But at the same time, it all starts with you, and so to that point. But, Jay, unless you have other thoughts, we'll close this whole thing out for that matter.
No, but I'll be honest with you, bud. One of the two sessions I really enjoy doing when I talk to audiences is riding clouds, be someone's story of inspiration when I talk to kids, because it's so much about it. Don't look at Michael Jordan. Don't look at Bezos. Don't look at Zuckerberg. Don't look at these billionaires and these sports stars. You can be extraordinary. You may think you're ordinary, but I'm going to share about 5 or 6 stories with the audience. And I've done this with State Sheriff's Department up here. It transcends any audience. Yeah. You can be amazing. You just got to start by believing in yourself. Right. That's the best thing. And then with educators who are burning out, I've got Finding Your Oasis of Sanity in a Desert of Educational Chaos, How I Survived 36 Years, the highs and the lows. And it's as real as it comes. And it's like, if anybody wants to chat or do that kind of stuff, I'm so easy to find. And I love helping people, Bill.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's funny. I was going to ask you what a final word is, but you kind of just gave it. So to that end point you just said, where can people find you to get in touch with you so they can maybe chat or ask you certain questions if they need it?
jgrossproductionsllc.com. That's the best place. Phone number's right there. Email, whatever you want to do. I love a Zoom. Phone calls are great too. But even like this, getting to know you, dude, I consider you a friend. You know,
right back at you.
Zoom works wonders, and you get a feel because I'm the first one to say, when you're hiring speakers, you better not mess up. You better make sure you're getting what you want. If you hire a bad speaker for a professional development or a keynote, man, you're a marked person from that point on.
It's very true. It's very true. But no, that's awesome, Jay. And for people listening and viewing right now, Jay's link is going to be in the YouTube description here. You can click right on it, go right there. It's about to roll in the credits as we close this out. And then also find him on LinkedIn. You know, he's posting every single day. I'm seeing it. I love his posts. As he mentioned, he's got his own social media just as much. But go to his website. If you want to reach out to him, set up a call with him, set up a Zoom with him. And as you can see, he loves the connection. But Jay, I appreciate your time so much. I know I took you longer than we usually do, but I love this conversation. As you just said, you know, getting to know you, I do as well consider you as a friend. I'm looking forward to the day where you and I can take a stage together, because we'll impact every single school from that one moment right there. You know, right? That's awesome.
Yin and yang, yin and yang.
Right, there you go.
You be the white with the black spot. I'll be the black with the little white spot, because it's time to get going. But no, Bill, it's funny. Absolute. I'm so honored that you had me on here the first time, but it's come back for a second time. My heart's full, bud.
Oh, no, I appreciate it, Jay. And believe me, there will be a third time. I can guarantee you that, because I love it. No, I love our time together. But I appreciate it, Jay. Everyone listening right now, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button below. We're really picking up speed with the subscribers, meaning we're helping more people. That's our goal. That's why we have great guests like Jay on. Please subscribe to Once. We'll give you an already. Like this message by hitting that thumbs up on below. And if at any moment someone popped into your mind when we were talking about any of the key points we touched on, share it to them. That's your sign that they might need help from this message. Not to share Jay, not to share Billy, not to help in any way other than they might need this message. Lend a hand, share it to them, and help someone else with it. But I thank you guys for tuning in. If you're in need of a coach to any of the areas we discussed today, go to BillyGLifeCoaching.com. I'll be right there for you. You can set up a free call with me. But Jay, I appreciate the time. It's been an absolute blast. And like I said, I'm looking forward to number 3.
My honor, bud. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a good one, guys.
You know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it a back day. Yeah, I got game, God in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it Turnpike Miles. Yeah, it's Boo signing on, John to the Hancock, and I'm always key, I'm ready to unlock. I be doing big things, don't even have a deal. Yeah, I battle through these bars, yeah, I always Bunker Hill. I know that any city I go in, that I be flyer than Logan, and I be flying high. I want this shit pumping here all the way to Shanghai. And my name's not Joe, but I'm not your average guy. I be killing it, east side rapping, cause I'm writing where I'm from. And I know for hella sure that I'm right with what I done. In a minute I'ma win it, chillin' with all these women. It's a dream I've been chasing and I'm never gonna pace it. This is something really got lost in. Everybody said no and now they all want